This week I've seen headlines stating Fenty has dropped Ari Fletcher. Initially I thought it was Ari Lennox. I don't know who Ari Fletcher is, but I was seeing it so much that once I found a video from B with the T, which was only 3 minutes long, I finally watched it so I could know what these headlines were about. Well, I was interested. I was piqued. I immediately clocked what was going on, and I'm surprised no one else has. So I want to talk about why I think we should have some compassion for Ari, because basically the thing that she's being punished for is a cry for help, in my opinion. Now, I don't know Ari Fletcher, as I'm stating. I didn't know who she was. I've seen her before, but I didn't have an opinion of her or anything like that. And I obviously don't actually know what her situation is, but based on the video I just posted, meaning like just posted, I can relate, or I can like identify some of what's going on with what she said. So we're gonna get into it. First of all, I'm Brianna. I've been talking about stuff lately, not my usual, but I got insight. So I'm going to use this insight to hopefully expand everybody's thinking and give Ari a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, I guess. Okay, so from what I know, Ariana Fletcher is a business person, Instagram model, ex-girlfriend or ex-fiance of G Herbo. Ari was on a podcast called Don't Call Me White Girl that was posted on Christmas 2021. In the podcast, they're kikiing. Damona is very funny and kind of, she's funny. They were talking about toxic relationships, and Ari made some comments about how she's now in a more healthy relationship with Moneybagg Yo, and he's making her grow up. She said that sometimes she still does the toxic stuff, like,
because I used to pack my shit up like, bitch, I'm leaving, fuck you.
That's
fake
me.
Booking a flight. Really never booked a flight. Fake booking a flight, like calling my manager like, yeah, bitch, book me a flight home, fuck this nigga, you know, calling my mama, throwing shit, breaking shit, fighting, and then like, now you gotta stop me from leaving. But I was never going nowhere.
Oh, yep, you're the toxic
Like,
one.
pull your gun out and show me, like, bitch, leave. I wish you would walk out the door.
Right.
Like, I'm not
She
gonna
gonna
do this.
shine. She gonna shine.
well, everybody was up in arms that she said this. And it's really unfortunate because in the whole podcast, I listened to the whole thing, they're talking so much about how, well, she talked a lot about how she doesn't want to get into any trouble.
He's trying to make me grow up. I'm about to start some shit tonight. I don't want to do this so much.
But she tries not to say too much because she doesn't want any negativity really, and she tries not to, like, she's herself, but she doesn't like give you the full version of Ari. And so it's sad that this happened as a result of what she said. But what made it worse was that she doubled down on Instagram Live and said a bunch of stuff that really rubbed people the wrong way. But I think it was not hard for me to see through what she said. So we're gonna talk about what she said and what I heard. This is what she said on the live. Now, people are mad at her because she is basically downplaying domestic violence and saying that somebody pulling a weapon on you is love and sexy or whatever. So people were upset about that. This was her response.
One, you're ugly. You don't even have a man, first of all, who wants to pull out a gun on you, especially to not leave. Nobody wants to do that, okay? Not to you. Nobody even cares about you that much to do that. Two, y'all are in the comments like, oh, when I was in a relationship, this boy put out. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. We don't care. We don't care. We do not care at all. Like, We don't care. We don't care. We don't. We just don't care. One time my boyfriend, so what? So what? And now what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Y'all trying to victim. You want to be a victim so bad. Why you want to be a victim so bad? I know I look crazy.
Okay, so this is what I heard. I had no self-worth until I was validated by men for my appearance. When I was in a relationship, a man pulled a gun on me and nobody cared. People said, so what? Now what? I badly do not want to be a victim. That's what I heard. I just like immediately that's what I heard. Her first line, one, you're ugly. You don't even have a man, says, I value being beautiful. That's where I get my self-worth, from being beautiful and having men validate my beauty. I just saw through all of that. The rest of it, well, let me give you some background. Like I said, I just posted a video, as in it's not even posted as I'm making this video. I haven't even finished editing it. But in the video, I talked about how I can see that having experienced trauma in the past has caused me not to react to things like I'm supposed to. It's like I don't have the range of feelings I'm supposed to have.
I want some bread. I want some bread.
Here, take your bread and go.
Bumble.
When people no longer want to be victimized, they or we normalize the feelings and experiences that made us feel like victims, and we stop reacting to those triggers appropriately. We either feel numb or we make it mean something else. So in this case, the normal response to having somebody wave a gun at you is to be afraid, but she has reprogrammed herself to think that that means that she's loved. And later in her rant, she says something about nobody would even wave a gun at you, or nobody cares about you enough to pull a gun on you. That's like red flag, red flag, red flag. So I'm not sure why people went so hard on her when she obviously is going through something. What I think she's going through is the fact that she had this experience with G Herbo. April 17th, 2019, he allegedly dragged her by her hair and clawed some skin out of her arm. He pled guilty in 2020. So this was like, she had a traumatic domestic violence experience. I'm guessing that when she cried for help, nobody cared. And that's why she now is minimizing that experience, because it's traumatizing, period, to have it happen, and then traumatizing to not get the support afterwards. I actually have heard a couple times lately, and I really need to find the source so I can give a better reference, that the impact of trauma is determined by the support you have after. Unfortunately, in the Black community, we don't tend to have good support after something traumatic has happened, because so many of us have already been traumatized. So a lot of us are giving bad advice or not really reacting the way we need to react, and that creates a bigger trauma experience. I was actually talking to a friend about this the other day. She was talking about how in Black families we tend to say that family business stays in the house, and like, we get it, but it's toxic. So I was sharing that information with her. So things happen in our families and we're told not to talk about it, and as a result we carry trauma because we didn't get the proper support so that we could process what we were going through or have somebody react appropriately to what we're going through. So in the interview, she says that to Damona, and Damona's also talking about toxic stuff she does. And Damona doesn't react and say, baby girl, that's not love. That is abuse. The fact that you think that that's okay, like, I'm concerned for you. Now, Ari did basically acknowledge that she had toxic relationships in the past, and now she's in a healthy relationship. So I think she acknowledged that it's toxic, but I don't think she's gone back and addressed the desensitization that has come from that experience. So people are saying she's been being insensitive about domestic violence, and I'm like, yeah, she obviously has desensitized herself because she was in that experience and it was too much, it was traumatizing, and for lack of better tools, she chose to desensitize herself to it. And then she comes on live and defends herself by victimizing other victims. That's something else I said in my previous video, that for me, I was so attached to the identity of being a victim and not doing the work I needed to do to come up out of that. I didn't realize this, but without healing, I have allowed my trauma, the ways I was made a victim, to victimize other people in my life. And that's, I think, what's happened here. So what she said on live when she was feeling defensive was her response. That's how she defended herself, because that thinking is how she defends herself from the trauma of what she actually experienced. Again, I don't know anything for real. I also am just a person. Like, I'm not a social worker or any sort of clinician, but this is just what I have understood from life at this point. So I just really feel bad that she's getting all this negative backlash. I feel bad that she's lost her Fenty deal. However, her healing and development is more important than the money from the Fenty deal. And while I don't think she needs to be punished, I think that sometimes it takes us losing things to really make us consider the choices that we've made. And I hope that losing that Fenty deal makes her consider, why am I getting so much backlash for this? Because you can't ignore it when you are like losing over it, right? So she can ignore the haters and the criticism, but now that her bag is in jeopardy, she's going to have to sit with the words she said, and hopefully it will actually prompt her to go through the healing process so that she doesn't react that way to domestic violence. And she needs to have compassion for herself and compassion for others who are experiencing that. But in order to have compassion for others, she's got to first have compassion for herself. And in the past, it might not have been safe for her to go through that process and feel pity for herself. But now it might be. Now, I also heard on a video, I'm not sure which video, but it was something about her going through it like in September and asking for help. And maybe people didn't help her. And maybe that's where the nobody cares came from, because nobody cared when she needed help. And that's what she learned. That's what she thinks is the proper response. And I'm sure this isn't on a conscious level, but that's what she thinks is the proper response, and that's how she responded to everybody. So I have compassion for her. I do hope that she does something and recognizes that she's desensitized to trauma that people experience every day that should not be minimized, and it should not have been minimized when she experienced it. She needs to continue to heal, go through the process of healing and correcting any misbeliefs that she had about why she was in that situation. From the rest of the interview, there were some other comments made that to me characterized her as a victim. And I know she doesn't want to be a victim, and I'm not saying it in a derogatory way. I just think that like there's some context here. She is not healed from being a battered woman, and that's why she made those comments. The other thing she said was that she doesn't say no to sex, and she said that she's submissive, and those things on their own aren't necessarily bad, but a lot of times when somebody has been abused or when they are being abused, that is agency that they don't have. They don't have the agency to say no to sex, and they are made to be submissive. She also at the very end says to like protect yourself and always have plan B. That's like the standards are so low there, like that you can protect yourself in other ways. You can require somebody to wear a condom, ask them to pull out, like there are so many other ways. And it was sad to me that Damona was just like, yeah, that's right. Like she didn't say, or use birth control, or, you know, like any number of other things. So that speaks to the comment about how the support that's around you determines your trauma, because that's who a lot of us are around. We're around other people who are going through trauma, who are toxic, and we don't, like, the beliefs are not corrected, and we just remain traumatized, and then we traumatize others in our IG lives, and then we lose our Fenty sponsorships. So I hope you didn't like this video, but like, I hope you liked me talking about this, but I hope you liked me delivering it. So if you like that, please like the video. If you think I'm completely wrong, please comment. If you think I'm right, comment. Just like, do you see what I'm saying? I think we should have a little bit more compassion, because she was a victim, and she still is a victim as much as she's trying to fight it. She doesn't want to be a victim, but you can't, like, you have to go through a process of not being a victim. You can't just say I'm not a victim, but you have all the signs and symptoms of a victim. Anyway, if you like me, please subscribe, and I will see you on another video on another topic. Until next time.